The people who gossiped about you are silenced in shock because Archangel Michael says, there comes a moment when the mouths that once mocked, whispered, and twisted your name into lies suddenly fall into silence. That silence is not ordinary, it is the silence of shock, disbelief, and fear as they witness the divine shift happening around you. They thought they could bury your truth under layers of false stories, but heaven has a way of unveiling what no human hand can hide. The beginning of this silence came suddenly, almost like a storm that struck without warning. The people who gathered together to talk behind your back, spreading words filled with envy and malice, now sit in confusion because what they declared would destroy you has turned into your breakthrough. The very trap they dug for your downfall has now been exposed in front of many eyes. There is a weight in the atmosphere right now, heavy with the energy of justice. Those who once laughed are now speechless because the outcome they expected has backfired. They underestimated the unseen hands of protection covering you, and now they find themselves powerless to continue their schemes. The gossipers had confidence when they were many, laughing in private corners, thinking no one would ever confront them. But something has shifted, their words have been exposed, their intentions revealed, and their faces shown to those who once believed them. Now they cannot escape the burning light of truth, and it stings more deeply than they ever imagined. Their silence is not just from exposure, it is from the shame of being caught. They never thought their conversations would echo back to your ears, but heaven has a way of turning whispers into loud revelations. What they spoke with arrogance is now tied around their own necks like a chain of regret. This shock they feel is only the beginning. The gossip they tried to build against you now looks like a weak tower crumbling before everyone. What they wanted to use as a weapon has transformed into evidence against them, and they cannot explain why everything is collapsing so quickly. Their silence is also mixed with fear. They see that you are not falling apart as they planned but instead rising stronger, walking with grace and dignity that cannot be shaken. They realize now that what they tried to use to wound you has only built you up for something greater. And the silence cuts deeper than words. The same mouths that ran endlessly now tremble when they see you, unable to form a single lie. Their confidence is gone, their voices broken, and their plans shattered under the weight of the truth that surrounds you. What shocks them most is that the people they thought would join their gossip have turned away. Supporters of their lies are no longer standing with them because the truth revealed itself too powerfully to deny. Those who once believed their words now see you in a new light, and the gossipers feel the sting of isolation. In their silence, they are forced to face themselves. For the first time, they must look into the mirror of their own deeds and realize the ugliness of what they tried to create. This shock is not temporary, it lingers in their hearts, reminding them that they touched the wrong person. They wanted a victory parade built on your name, but instead they are experiencing a funeral for their lies. Their plots are buried, their pride broken, and their arrogance silenced in the graveyard of their own wickedness. And now, all that remains is their silence. This silence is also respect, though they will never admit it. They see now that you cannot be crushed by words, that your presence carries more strength than their deceit. Even without defending yourself, your truth has defended you in ways their minds cannot comprehend. The room where they once laughed is empty now. Their voices, once sharp and loud, are no longer heard. They gather but do not speak, afraid that their next word might expose more of their secrets. And in this silence, there is judgment. It is not you who judge them, but the natural return of what they released into the world. The energy they poured into harming you has circled back to their own doorstep, knocking loudly until they could no longer ignore it. They are silenced in shock because they expected to win. They had rehearsed your downfall, imagining your tears, your struggles, your weakness. But what they see now is your rise, your strength, your power shining even brighter than before. The silence will remain with them because they cannot find a way to reverse what has already happened. They cannot unspeak what was spoken, cannot undo what was done, and cannot erase what is now revealed. This is why their shock is heavy, and their silence deep. The gossipers thought they could control the narrative, but heaven wrote a new ending. They thought they could gather people against you, but now those people see who the true deceivers are. Their web of lies has collapsed, leaving them tangled in their own trap. Now they are silenced not just by fear, but by the realization that you are untouchable. You were chosen for something greater, and no amount of gossip could block what was already designed for you. Their voices are small compared to the destiny echoing through your life. Even when they try to speak now, their words carry no power. No one listens, no one believes, no one cares. Their audience is gone, and all that remains is their own echo of regret. This silence is your victory. Without lifting a hand, without raising your voice, without fighting back in the way they expected, you have won. The silence of your enemies is the sound of your triumph. The silence of your enemies is not just a moment, it is a chain that binds their lips from ever harming you again. They find themselves in circles of confusion, unable to explain why their once powerful gossip has become their downfall. Every word they released now weighs on their own shoulders like stones too heavy to carry. They sit together, but the conversations are empty. They glance at one another, hoping someone else will break the silence, but no one dares to speak first. Each of them knows that the moment they open their mouth, the truth of their guilt will leak out for everyone to see. What silences them even more is the glow around you. You move forward, stronger than they expected, untouched by their schemes. They see this strength, and it terrifies them, because it proves that their gossip had no real power. Archangel Michael says, "Your shield was raised higher than their words, and that is why you stand tall today." Those who laughed at your pain are now forced to watch your rise. They can do nothing but sit in stunned silence, realizing they chose the wrong side of history. The gossipers are silenced because they see that people no longer trust them. Their reputations, once polished, are now cracked with suspicion. No one looks at them the same, for the light of truth has exposed their shadows. The shame burns in them like fire. They once enjoyed the attention their stories brought, but now the same attention has turned into eyes of judgment. Every whisper they spoke has returned to them like thunder, shaking their false confidence. Their silence is also the silence of defeat. They thought they had won a war, but they realized now they were never in control. The very words they used as weapons turned into arrows piercing their own hearts. And though they want to recover, they cannot. Their mouths cannot form new lies because the old ones still linger in the air, haunting them with every breath. Their silence becomes their prison, and they cannot escape. As time passes, their silence grows heavier. They avoid your eyes, avoid conversations, avoid gatherings where your name might rise. They live in fear of being reminded of the lies they spread, and this fear is the greatest punishment of all. The silence is not forced, it is chosen. They choose silence because they know any attempt to continue would destroy them even more. They are caught in a cycle where words betray them, so silence is their only hiding place. But even in silence, their thoughts torment them. Every moment they replay what they said about you, and the regret gnaws at their spirit. They are silenced, not only outwardly but also within, as their minds become loud with shame. This silence is a testimony. It is proof to everyone who once believed them that you were never what they claimed. The silence speaks louder than their gossip ever did, declaring your innocence without a word. The silence shocks them because they never thought truth could move so fast. They expected lies to last, but instead they see them fading like smoke in the wind. They are left with nothing but the ashes of their own deception. They thought they could predict your future with their gossip, but what they see now is a destiny they cannot touch. You shine, you rise, you thrive, and it leaves them speechless. Their silence is the sound of defeat echoing in their hearts. This silence has power. It shifts the atmosphere, leaving you free from their chatter. Where once their words chased you, now their silence clears your path. Archangel Michael says, when enemies are silenced, it is the sign that justice has already been delivered. Their tongues are tied because the truth has bound them, and no power on earth can release them from it. They are silenced because you are always covered in divine protection. The gossipers who once mocked you now watch you from afar. They are silent, but their eyes follow you with envy and regret. Their silence is louder than their laughter ever was, because it shows they cannot deny your strength. They never thought this day would come. They believed their lies would destroy you, but instead they destroyed themselves. Now, with no words left, they sit in silence, staring at the ruins of their own schemes. Their silence is not peace, it is torment. Every time they remember your name, their hearts tremble. They wonder what will happen next, but they cannot speak, cannot fight, cannot move forward. And you, standing tall, know that their silence is proof of your victory. The people who once spread darkness have no choice but to be silent in the presence of your light. Their silence is your crown, and it rests upon your head with power. Type Amen 1010 if you believe your light has silenced every enemy. Their silence has become a weight too heavy for them to carry. At first, they thought they could laugh it off, pretending that nothing had happened, but the truth keeps pressing down on them. Every moment they are reminded that their words have lost power, and that reminder keeps them bound in shame. The people who once encouraged them to gossip now avoid them. No one wants to be associated with liars, and so their circle grows smaller by the day. This isolation deepens the silence, leaving them alone with nothing but their regrets. What they never expected was for their silence to expose them even more. By refusing to speak, they confirmed to everyone that they were guilty all along. Their silence speaks volumes, louder than the words they once hurled at you. Type Amen 1111 if you believe silence will always expose the guilty. The gossipers tremble when they hear your name now. Their faces change, their voices fade, and they look away as if the air itself carries judgment against them. They cannot stand in the presence of your strength because it reminds them of their weakness. This silence is not an accident. It is divine timing, forcing them to sit in the seat of their own consequences. They once used their voices recklessly, but now they are forced to taste the bitterness of restraint. The silence cuts deeper than punishment. For them, it is a constant reminder that they underestimated you. They thought you were weak, but now their silence reveals who was truly powerless all along. Archangel Michael says, "The power of silence is not just an absence of words, it is the sound of justice." Every whisper they spoke has now been turned back upon them, leaving them unable to move or fight. They are silenced because truth has risen, and nothing can stand against it. The days move forward, and yet their silence remains. No excuses, no explanations, no apologies can escape their mouths. They are locked in a cage of their own making, and only humility could ever set them free. You, however, walk with freedom. The silence of your enemies is the open road beneath your feet. Where once their voices tried to block your steps, now the quiet clears a path for your destiny. This silence has become your shield. No matter how much they want to speak again, they cannot, for the truth has stripped them of their influence. Their silence is your protection, and it will last longer than they ever imagined. Their shock deepens with every victory you achieve. They watch from the shadows, unable to speak, unable to deny that you are rising higher. Their silence is forced admiration, even if they refuse to admit it. The silence spreads like a fire. At first, it silenced only those who gossiped, but now even those who listen without defending you are struck by the same weight. They are forced to see how they stood by and did nothing while others tried to harm you. Now they too sit in silence, unable to defend themselves. The truth has shaken not only the liars but also the silent accomplices. No one escapes the power of this revelation. The silence grows heavy in every room. No one dares mention your name unless it is an honor, for fear of being connected to the shame of the gossipers. Your name, once twisted, now carries respect. This respect terrifies your enemies. They never wanted to see you honored, but now they have no choice. Their silence becomes a throne upon which your truth sits unchallenged. Their silence is the answer you always deserved. You did not have to defend yourself, argue, or beg for truth. Instead, the gossipers destroyed themselves, and now their silence is your justice. You will notice their silence in their eyes. They cannot look at you the same way. They lower their heads or turn away quickly. Every glance is a confession, every silence a declaration of guilt. This silence stretches across time. It will not fade tomorrow or next week, it will follow them as long as the truth remains. And the truth never dies. Archangel Michael says, when gossipers are silenced, the sound of truth becomes eternal. That eternal sound now surrounds you, protecting your destiny, honoring your strength, and guiding your steps. Their silence has become your testimony. Their silence lingers like an echo that refuses to fade. They thought time would heal their shame, but instead, every passing day only deepens it. The weight of their words turned against them, and now silence has chained them in ways they cannot escape. Every place they go reminds them of what they did. Whispers of truth trail behind them, forcing them to remember the gossip they once carried so easily. The silence becomes unbearable, yet they cannot break it, for fear that one word will shatter what little dignity they have left. The shock of your rise paralyzes them. They never thought you would move forward, but here you are, walking in strength while they sit in defeat. Their silence is filled with jealousy, regret, and an unspoken acknowledgement of your victory. Their silence becomes the loudest sound in every room. People notice it, wondering why those who once had so much to say now keep their mouths shut. The silence tells the truth more clearly than any explanation ever could. They tried to bury you with words, but instead they buried themselves. Their silence now stands as a tombstone marking the death of their lies. No matter how much they wish to resurrect the gossip, it cannot rise again. Even when they try to laugh, their laughter feels hollow. The silence always returns, pulling them back into the reality of their shame. There is no escape from the truth, and silence is their constant reminder. The silence also speaks protection over you. Without their words, you walk freely, no longer weighed down by false stories. Your name shines brighter because their silence clears away the shadows. They sit together in secret, but even there the silence rules. Their fear of exposure keeps them quiet, knowing that any new word might bring greater judgment. What once united them in gossip now divides them in silence. They exchange glances, but not words. Each knows the other is guilty, yet none dare to speak it aloud. Their silence becomes a barrier between them, turning friends into strangers. This is the true power of justice. It not only silences them before you, but it also silences them before each other. They cannot even trust one another anymore, for fear of betrayal. The same mouths that once gossiped together now avoid speaking at all. Archangel Michael says, this is the unraveling of their unity. The same bond they used against you has been broken, leaving them scattered in silence. Their silence is not only shame but also separation. The silence follows them into their homes. Even when they are alone, they hear it pressing against their hearts. It is the silence of guilt, the silence of knowing they cannot undo what has been done. They may try to speak to themselves, but even their own voices feel false. Their silence is not just external, it is internal, gripping their spirit and refusing to let go. They are trapped in the quiet consequence of their actions. This silence also reaches those who once believed them. The listeners, the encouragers, the bystanders now sit in the same heaviness. They are shocked by how quickly the lies collapsed and how brightly your truth has risen. Now no one dares to gossip about you again. Your name has become untouchable, your presence undeniable. The silence surrounding your enemies has become the shield around your destiny. Their silence is the harvest of their own words. They planted seeds of gossip, but the fruit was bitter, and now they cannot eat from it. Their mouths remain closed because the taste of their lies still lingers. Everywhere they go, silence exposes them. People see the hesitation, the avoidance, the shame in their faces. Without speaking, they reveal everything. The silence has become your vindication. You no longer need to explain, defend, or justify yourself. Their silence proves everything you could have ever said. This silence is permanent. Even if they try to recover, their voices will never carry the same weight again. Their silence is now part of their identity. Their silence shocks them because it was never in their plan. They plan words, schemes, conversations, and traps, but silence was never part of their design. Now it consumes them like a shadow they cannot outrun. Even when they gather courage to speak, no one listens. Their silence has already branded them as untrustworthy. Every word they try to release falls flat, empty and powerless. And so they remain quiet, watching your rise with disbelief. They know deep inside that nothing they say can stop what is already happening for you. Their silence is the final surrender. Archangel Michael says, this surrender is the evidence of your victory. They may never say it aloud, but their silence confirms what heaven has already declared: you have won. Their silence is not only heavy, it is haunting. When they walk into a room, the quiet follows them like a shadow, reminding everyone of what they did. The people who once laughed with them now sit still, waiting for someone to speak, but no one has the courage. The gossipers thought their words were weapons sharp enough to cut you down. But now those very words have dulled into nothingness, leaving them powerless. Their silence proves they were never strong, they were only loud. The silence grows deeper each time you succeed. With every step forward, they lose another piece of the false confidence they once carried. They are stunned, unable to understand how you keep rising despite everything they tried. Type Amen 2222 if you know your rise has silenced every false voice. The silence does not fade, instead, it grows like a storm cloud. It covers their laughter, their gatherings, their plans, until nothing remains but unease. Their silence becomes a wall they cannot climb over. Even their allies feel the weight of it. Those who once supported the gossip now distance themselves, leaving the liars stranded in their own emptiness. The silence spreads through their circle until no voice remains. This isolation crushes them more than any punishment ever could. They are forced to face the truth they never wanted to admit. Their silence is the result of being cornered by reality. And reality is unforgiving. It shows them clearly that their power has ended, and their words will never be trusted again. Silence has become their destiny. Type Amen 2323 if you know silence is the final judgment against lies. The silence also becomes their greatest fear. They wonder what people say about them when they are not in the room. They fear the whispers of truth more than they ever enjoyed the whispers of lies. This fear keeps them quiet. They no longer have the courage to start conversations, knowing that someone might confront them. Their silence is the only shield they have left. But even that shield is weak. Silence may hide them for a moment, but it also exposes them at the same time. Everyone sees their quietness as guilt. Archangel Michael says, silence reveals everything words try to hide. And now the truth is revealed for all to see. They are silenced because nothing else remains. Type Amen 2424 if you stand in the light of revealed truth. The silence follows them into their sleep. At night, they hear echoes of the gossip they spoke, only now it is turned against them. The silence of the world outside makes their inner guilt louder. They toss and turn, unable to find peace. Their silence in public is mirrored by their unrest in private. No matter where they go, silence holds them captive. This captivity is their consequence. The same mouths that once ran freely are now bound. Silence has tied them with invisible ropes they cannot break. And while they struggle, you are free. Their silence has opened doors for you, lifted barriers, and cleared the path for your purpose. What once weighed you down is now gone forever. Type Amen 2525 if you receive freedom where your enemies are bound. The silence shocks them most when they see how others treat you now. Those who once believed their lies now celebrate your presence. Respect surrounds you, and their silence cannot compete with the honor you now carry. They wanted to destroy your reputation, but instead they destroyed their own. Their silence is the sound of reputations collapsing, brick by brick, until nothing is left. They have built their own ruin, and now they must live in it. Even when they try to smile, the silence betrays them. Their eyes cannot hide the shame, and everyone notices. Silence is louder than anything they could ever say. The silence is permanent. It is not just a pause, not just a moment, it is the new reality they must face. Their gossiping days are over, and their silence will follow them everywhere. Type Amen 2626 if you believe gossip always ends in silence. The silence is your reward. Without lifting your voice, without fighting back, you have been vindicated. Their silence proves that you are always the one who carried truth. And this reward will last. Their voices may try again, but they will never rise with the same strength. Silence has stolen their power, and you have gained it. You are untouchable now. Their silence will follow your victories, reminding them of the battles they lost. You will never again be weighed down by their words. Archangel Michael says, silence is the crown upon your head. It is not fragile, it is unshakable. Their silence has become your eternal victory. Type Amen 2727 if you are the crown of victory in silence.